Thank you for tuning into our seller interview series. Up today, we've got an Amazon Associates business for sale in the home and garden niche. Created in December 2015, this business makes $7,424 per month in net profit, and the listing number for the site is 43753. We do these interviews to give potential buyers more information about both the seller and the sites they're looking to purchase. We hope these insights are helpful for you in making a buying decision. We've got the seller with us today to go through the business and cover everything from niche selection. How are you doing today, Josh?
Really good. How about you?
I'm doing really well. This is the third one that Josh and I have done in the last week. Hopefully you're not getting too sick of my voice here.
No, these are actually kind of fun to do.
They are fun. I completely agree. Anyway, so before we dive into the questions that I have for you, I want to run through a quick summary of the business. Again, it was built in December 2015, has a monthly revenue of $7,479, expenses of $55 to make for a net profit of $7,424, which is built on a 6-month average. Included in the sale of this business are the domain, site files, a privately owned PBN with links exclusive to this business, and social media accounts for Google+, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, About.me, LinkedIn, and Pinterest. Josh, can you tell us a little bit about your background in building and running online businesses?
Yeah, so I've been in this business for over 3 years now. I was trying a lot of different kinds of things to make money online. And one of the things that I tried was creating affiliate websites. And I got kind of lucky with it. I was able to, after a few months, I built a website. And after a few months, I made a few $100s with it. That was kind of one of the things that I was experimenting with. But things really changed for me when I saw that, Empire Flippers was just starting at the time to open up their marketplace to outside sellers. And I was able to sell one of my sites at the time for like $2,000 or something, which to me at the time, that was like amazing. That was like, okay, like from making, $100 or $200 a month to actually being able to sell it for like $2,000. I kind of went like, okay, wait a second, like this could be like a real business. This could make enough money for me to actually really support myself with it. It's been just kind of like ramping up since then. I went to Thailand for a while and I moved to Chiang Mai and spent about 9 months there working on kind of building this business up where I like build and rank these types of websites, affiliate types of websites, and specifically focusing on like the Amazon style of websites where we do like reviews and comparisons of different products. And since then, I've now built I have a team that will work on like building these websites with me and ranking them. So yeah, we kind of have like what I would consider sort of like a real business now where I'm sort of in more of like the CEO role where I'm kind of looking at more of the big picture strategic vision and my team is working on more of the day-to-day stuff.
You have your team who helps you build these businesses and you've been doing that for a few years now. So I know from previous conversations that when you go to start a business, you do a lot of research into niches to find a specific niche that will have a profitable, experience for you. Was there any interesting story about how this particular business came to be?
Yeah, this was one of the ones we put up at the end of 2015. I hadn't really done many news sites in 2015. I spent like the first half of 2015 creating like 4 new sites, which is pretty low for what I usually have been doing, which is more like maybe 1 or 2 a month. And then at the end of 2015, I decided, I really want to double down on this. And this was just one of the niches that we researched that we thought, this has good potential. Like, let's give it a try. It's funny, like the way this works with building sites is you do, I have a whole like spreadsheet for it. I even created my own I also do some programming. So I even created my own little app that like helps like pull different keywords from SEMrush and kind of does this analysis on like how much do we think this site maybe will be able to make. And you do all these analysis, but then like the real world result is oftentimes quite surprising. So, for this site actually really surprised me with how much it made. I didn't really expect it to make quite that much. And of course, like other sites that I created at the time that I thought maybe were even going to be more successful have been a little bit less successful. So it's surprising sometimes like which sites end up being the real winners. But this was definitely like a real winner for me. This has been a really impressive site and I've been really happy with the results on this site.
I mean, that's the same with anything in life. Sometimes you think that you have a really gold mine of an idea or an opportunity, and sometimes it just doesn't work out. And then,
Mm-hmm.
there might be something totally random that just turns into the best opportunity of your career. You never know. And it's awesome that you had this luck and success with this business. And speaking of having luck and success with this business, you are now selling it. And as a frequent seller here who sells businesses, this is actually the one that we've done an interview for that has the largest profit. And so I guess my question to you is, how do you know how long you should hold on to a business and continue growing it before it's time to sell it?
Yeah, so great question. Right now I don't necessarily have like a super exact formula for it, but what I'm trying to balance is really like how much potential I see for the business in terms of like what skills my team can leverage to make it grow quickly. And I'm balancing that with like how many other opportunities we have in terms of like building new sites or, sites that we've maybe built a few months ago, ranking those, and sites that we've built maybe a year ago. Should we rank those further? Should we put more, energy and investment into those? So I'm usually just kind of trying to balance like how much opportunity I see for like my team's specific skill set and versus how much opportunity we have on different sites. Right now I own about like 40 or so sites, and one of the reasons that I sell these sites is really just to clear up space for other projects, because even though these sites like really require very little maintenance, there's a bit of sort of mental overhead you have of like keeping track of all these sites, looking at the rankings, seeing how it maybe changes over time, wondering if it's time to sell it, So there's some overhead, and then there's also kind of like just kind of seeing like, okay, where do we have like the biggest opportunities? That's a big part of kind of what I do as in the sort of CEO role in my business, is kind of this bigger picture decision making. What I think we're best at is like building new sites and getting them those like initial rankings, getting them like, whatever Google will give us sort of naturally, based on the first like few dozen links. That's sort of like our like bread and butter. So this site, this is basically at a pretty good place of sort of how much it's grown from that sort of like initial burst of, building the site, the amount of time that we have to kind of wait for it to rank, and on what we get for those initial links. And we'll get into this with the opportunities, but what we're not as good at is sort of optimizing the website for click-throughs and, doing like email marketing, that kind of thing. I mean, I think that there's big opportunities there, but it's just not the best place that we can leverage compared to like building new sites and, ranking the sites that we've just recently built.
You seem to have a lot of experience with the Amazon Associate business model. In case there's someone listening who is unfamiliar with that business model, can you just take a brief minute and explain exactly what the Amazon Associate platform is and how you make money from it?
Yeah, definitely. So Amazon Associates program is like the Amazon's affiliate program. And basically, if I refer somebody to Amazon through a link that they give me that has a specific tracking code on it, if I refer somebody to Amazon and then they go make a purchase within like 24 hours, then I get a commission, and it's usually between like 4 and 8% depending on the category. Amazon is sort of, I think they're kind of trying to promote certain categories, or they're trying to compete with like the other, e-commerce types of sites in certain categories. So certain categories get a little bit higher commission and certain categories get a little bit lower commission, but it's usually between like 4 and 8% depending on the, the product. And Amazon will just like, they'll pay, that percent of the sales price for a referral. So these types of websites, in this particular website, it's targeting, keywords that are kind of buyer type of keywords that people are looking for to get sort of a more full like buying guide, to have kind of comparisons of like what are the best products in this niche. And then so we give them recommendations on, what might be a good match for them, what are the overall the best quality ones in this niche, or what are the ones that are kind of the best deals that are still, good enough models, but maybe a better deal, better price. And we kind of try to match people with the best product for them. And then hopefully, and this is how it's making money, so it does happen a lot, is that, people read our site and then they click to Amazon and they go ahead and purchase that. And then Amazon gives us a commission for that.
You said that the site doesn't take much work for the week for maintenance to keep it up and running. And obviously, if someone sees some of the opportunities that we'll discuss later, and that'll take more work than just maintaining. But if we're talking just maintaining the site as is, how much work it needs to be done on the site week to week, month to month, whatever it is, to keep it up and running?
Yeah, it's really minimal. This is one of the reasons I'm so attracted to this business model, is because once we get the site built, once it gets ranking, it's really, really minimal. So what we do every 3 to 6 months is we go through the site and basically just make sure that everything's up to date. So we'll just check all the links and make sure that all the links are still working. So every once in a while, Amazon will change their links around for some reason. We've had products that are no longer for sale or something like that. It's not even really that common, but if you're holding the site for a few years, that's the kind of thing that can change over time. And you don't want to miss out for 6 months on commissions because a particular link isn't working or something. So anyway, so we just go through the site, we check for links, we check is there a new product in this niche that maybe is better than the ones that we're recommending or something. And usually I would say if you're doing that every 3 months, it's probably about a 2 to 3 hour project every 3 months. So it's a really, really low, for a business that's actively earning money. I mean, this is really quite passive. There's very, very little effort that's needed to keep it on track, keep it doing what it's doing. There's a lot that we could go into in ways that I think the buyer could expand the site, potentially make a lot more money from it. But just as sort of a baseline things to do, it's just really going to be the 2 to 3 hours every 3 to 6 months.
Yeah, why don't we get into some of that stuff? What are some of the big opportunities for growth that you see a potential buyer could take advantage of?
Yeah, so right now the site is ranking number 1 for its main keywords, which is cool. I mean, it's a testament to how much Google likes this site. Not all my sites with the same number of links really have, are ranking that well for the main keywords. For whatever reason, Google's kind of favoring this site. There are other keywords. If somebody wants to do some SEO stuff, its main keywords that it's ranking somewhere between maybe spot 5 and spot 10. And I'm, of course, with a depositor, I'm happy to, or with the person who buys the site, I'm really happy to go over those and kind of talk about the specific, ones that I see. But there are plenty of keywords that, just some more sort of basic SEO stuff, link building kind of stuff, could just get more traffic just to the pages it has pretty naturally with just, continuing to add a little bit more authority over time with those links. And then kind of in a related category, I think, because the site has authority in this niche and Google clearly likes this site, because it's ranking at number 1 for all these search terms, there's an opportunity to use the domain to build out reviews and comparisons of similar products. And I can't get into, on this call, I can't get into what specifically those might be, but I'm happy to share that with the depositor. I mean, your ideas as a depositor are probably as valid as mine are, but I have some, certain niches in mind, for example, that are closely associated. I think in order to make a really big splash in that, you'd probably want to be building that content or writing that content and then doing some link building on top of that. But the fact that the domain has some age on it already, it has authority, and it has authority in this particular niche too, would give you a real advantage, a real hand up on starting to rank for some related niches that also have, a lot of potential. So those are 2 areas in the sort of content SEO type of thing. There's other opportunities that I've never really gotten good at this kind of thing, so I can't necessarily speak to what exact results you can expect, but I really think that there are actually really big opportunities here. And one of those is email marketing. I've suspected for a long time that there's a big opportunity in email marketing for these types of sites. And it's not really a skill set I have. So it's not, I was kind of mentioning before, talking about where my team has the most leverage. I think, my team and I, what we're best at is building these new sites, getting them ranking. We're good at, building PBNs, that kind of thing. So for our business, I think that the reason we really haven't, done this is because, we have the most leverage in this one specific area. And that's kind of what I want to continue focusing on. But the email marketing, I think that there is a really big opportunity. So, for example, I've seen other people's sites do this kind of thing where, you have some kind of maybe like pop-up that shows up on the site that you can, enter your email in to get a guide to using this product, or maybe you get, what are the best discounts for this type of product? What are the best deals right now? Which is just a page that you'd maybe update once a month or something with the best deals. And of course, those are affiliate links also. So if somebody buys from that, then you're getting a commission. And then then you've captured people's email addresses. So there's an opportunity to do some like remarketing to them. So, for example, Amazon's links only last like 24 hours. Somebody needs to buy a product within 24 hours of clicking on the link. So this is an opportunity to potentially capture more of that, of the people who have initially come to the site, capture more of their orders through Amazon, because not everybody's buying within 24 hours of visiting the site. So being able to kind of remarket to them, say like, hey, like, did you check out this guide that we had in an email, a follow-up email? I think you definitely get some people coming back to the site, some people clicking again on Amazon, and you're extending that amount of time that they have to make their decision where you still get a commission. On top of that, and this is sort of like next level kind of stuff, using that email list for marketing, just maybe kind of generally related products or even kind of random products during like the November, December, Christmas shopping time. I mean, this is like pretty much every Amazon site makes a whole lot of extra money during November, December. I mean, particularly December, but like end of November, starting with like Cyber Monday. Pretty much every Amazon site makes extra money just because, so many people are clicking through to Amazon and just buying things. You search for something in July or in August and you think, yeah, maybe I'll buy it. And maybe you do buy that particular product and maybe you buy like one or two things related to it. But in December, because there's actually kind of a limited amount of time, in the US for Christmas shopping, people they'll do the same thing. They're just kind of like, oh, I think I might buy one of these products, and they'll search what's the best one, and they'll go to this site, they'll click to Amazon, and then they'll just happen to, within the next 24 hours, think, oh, I need to do some Christmas shopping, and they'll order like $200 or $300 of products that may be completely unrelated to this site, but you'll still get a commission because it's within the 24 hours. So, I think that there's an opportunity with the email marketing to extend that and, say like, hey, like, have you considered maybe a gift in this niche or in a related niche, something like that? There's a real opportunity for that. And then, the last benefit of the email list is if you ever decide to like sell the site again on like Empire Flippers or something, the value of the site has now gone up because having an email list, it makes the overall value of the business go up. So I think email lists, that could be a huge opportunity for somebody. There's a particular site I have in mind that I saw somebody do, and they bought a site of mine. They did some kind of like an email marketing thing among a few other things. And then they resold the site like 6 months later and made like $6,000 or $8,000 or something like that. I mean, this was a much smaller site than we're talking about here. I was pretty impressed with it, actually. They leveraged their own skill set on top of, what was already there, and they were able to really make a profit on that.
You mentioned a very, very good point about an Amazon site like this, that coming into the Christmas season, that it's likely that you're going to see a huge spike in sales because, it's Christmas time. So with that being said, the numbers that we gave earlier about the over $7,000 in net profit for the site were based on a 6-month average. Is there any reason for that? And how much of a spike do you expect coming into the Christmas season?
Yeah, that's a great question. So this site isn't particularly seasonal as far as I can tell. It seems to be fairly consistent, earnings and fairly consistent visitor value and stuff over time. The 6 month, basing it on the past 6 months is a pretty standard thing with Empire Flippers. And there's been a bit of growth that's happening over the past 6 months. So assuming you have you continue like a small amount of growth, or assuming that even it's sort of like maxes out at this point, the buyer's potentially getting even like a little bit of a discount of, it's not going to necessarily take them 26, I think, this site is at a 25x multiple. So it's not necessarily going to take them 25 months to make that all back because of that 6 month, previous 6 months valuation. But yeah, it's not particularly seasonal, except like you just said, Christmas season is generally a really good time for Amazon sites. I mean, this particular site, it's not a particularly like gift type of site. It's not something that's going to, be like super seasonal. I don't think it's going to be like super seasonal during Christmas, but I think you'll probably see a spike. It might be like, I would say like as low as like 10% extra, but more likely it's going to be like 20-25% extra. But it's hard for me to say because this site only started making like serious amounts of money or getting, real serious amounts of visitors in, I think it was maybe February of this year. So we kind of missed the Christmas season. So you'll have to see as a buyer what that'll be like. But I would say you're probably only looking at upside. I mean, you're not going to hit a decrease or anything during November, December time. So that's potentially, some additional upside you have that's not priced into the 6-month multiple. So that's potentially just a bonus you have or an advantage.
Yeah, definitely. With all of the growth in page views and click-throughs to Amazon and purchases made, like you said, you're not going to see a dip coming into the most profitable time of year for most sites, So that's a very, very good point, and I'm glad that you brought that up. So getting back to the opportunities, I had just one thing quick to clarify, and then I have another question. So just to clarify, you said that you're not proficient in email marketing. This business does not currently have any sort of email list associated with it, correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
So that's definitely, like you said, definitely a big opportunity for growth for a potential buyer who is proficient in email marketing to come in. And with the email marketing, another way that people grow their email list and everything is through writing good articles, writing good blogs. Is that something that's currently being done actively on the site?
Not really. Over the past almost 2 years, we've added some additional content. There's only a few pages right now that are like the main, money pages that are like the main foundational content of the site where, the site's really making money from. We have added, I don't know the exact number off the top of my head, but we have added a few additional articles to kind of give the site a bit more bulk, give it some more sort of authority in this niche. But, to be honest, most of those articles have really been added more for SEO purposes, more to just give it, let Google see that we're an authority in this niche and we don't just have 5 pages. We have, many more than that are all related to this niche. So, it kind of helps Google see that we're really about this product,
Yeah, that makes sense.
So do you think if somebody was building an email list or was kind of, as a related thing, another opportunity here is to potentially use the social media stuff. We've only used social media, again, just for the SEO presence. Just Google can see that we're on social media, but we haven't really done anything with it. Working on some kind of community creation on social media could be another huge opportunity for this site. But yeah, if you took the current articles or, better yet, maybe created your own articles that were more sort of targeted to maybe social media kind of stuff, or, were focused more on building an email list or something like that. I mean, that could definitely be another big opportunity and not something that we've really done anything with.
How many countries and markets is your site and the Amazon products that you're referring to currently available in?
So right now we're on Amazon.com, Amazon.ca, which is Canada, and Amazon.co.uk. And honestly, the earnings are almost entirely coming from Amazon.com, so from the US. And there's a really small percentage coming from Amazon.ca and Amazon.co.uk. I'm not entirely sure why that is. I think this is a product that I've seen people, I'm a digital nomad and I travel a lot, and I've seen people using this kind of product around the world, but I don't know, maybe they just kind of don't buy this type of thing around the world, or maybe it's specifically UK and Canada where they don't use it. That could be another opportunity, is to kind of try to, internationalize it a bit, expand the market in that way. And even the level 2, kind of the elite level thing to do with this would even be to get the content translated and have it, maybe target the Amazon.de, which is Germany market, which I know is a really, the Germans really use Amazon a lot apparently. So that could be another opportunity there. But I haven't really done anything besides just put it on Amazon.ca and co.uk, which, to be honest, hasn't really contributed that much right now to it. So, make what you will of that, I guess.
Yeah, so it hasn't done too much with the other two countries you're in, but like you said, potentially translating to the other languages, getting, that SEO work and everything ready to go for Germany, Italy, or whatever other countries you would want could potentially be another big opportunity for growth for a new buyer.
Yeah, exactly.
So we are brushing up against our time a little bit. Like, we still have plenty of time, but I know that you have about 20 minutes left, I know. So one other big thing that we need to cover is the PBN. So can you detail exactly what a PBN is first, and then also how will that transition going over to a new buyer, how will that work?
Yeah, so great question. So let me jump into what a PBN is. So PBN stands for Private Blog Network. And basically what this is that, just to kind of go to like most basic level, is that one of the number one ways that Google decides who to rank is like, what's the most popular? Who's getting all the links from lots of different websites in this niche? And what we're doing, with private blog networks is like we're registering a bunch of domains that already have some authority in Google, that Google already, sees as having, some, authority or reliability. And then we're sending links to this site. And we do like a number of things, hosting it on different unique hosts and registering it with private registration or different, registrants and stuff. We make it seem to Google like these are completely unique websites, unique like personal blogs and businesses and stuff like that are all linking to the money site here. And Google, responds to that by saying like, oh, wow, like this is a pretty popular website. It's getting links from lots of different websites. So, for the niche, we should really rank it high. So that's sort of like the underlying concept behind a PBN is it makes it look to Google like it's, uniquely owned and run websites, but really they're all owned by my business or, they'll be owned by you in this case because the PBN is included in the sale in this case. PBNs have been a little bit controversial in terms of SEO. I mean, as you can imagine, Google doesn't really like people using PBNs. But what I'll say about them is like they've really been working surprisingly well for like 4 or 5 years now. And I think that that's a testament to the fact that if they're done well, and not all of them are done well, so you should be a little bit careful with this, but if they're done well, it's very, very hard, if not impossible, for Google to actually figure out, what's actually a unique website, somebody's unique personal blog, and what's a website that's just pretending to be that. So what we do to set up these private blog networks is pretty much, basically like the highest quality that we can do. We really take it really seriously, doing like really high quality PBNs that will stand the test of time. So there's a lot of shortcuts that somebody could take with a PBN, and we don't really take any of those shortcuts. So just to give you a sense of it, like we have maybe for somebody who knows maybe more about PBNs. So we have all like shared hosting accounts on like big name brand hosts like GoDaddy and HostGator and stuff. And we have all the content is written by American writers. And it's actually like, it's actually interesting, engaging content. It's not just like crappy, spammy, stuff. One of maybe the most important parts of this is that, a lot of times when people talk about PBNs, they think they're talking about private blog networks, but actually they're talking about a network where people can buy a spot on it, which actually that's more of like a public blog network because it's open to the public. And that creates a lot more vulnerability because, potentially like Google or just a competitor or something could buy into the network and see all the links that are on the network. And our network here, it's completely private. It's not just private like within the company, it's actually private to this site. So all the sites that link to the site link only to this site. So that creates like really just like a huge wall of protection around it. This is like kind of the highest level of security, I think, kind of in the PBN industry, I guess. So yeah, we have, without like bragging too much about it, I mean, I think that what we do with PBNs is really like top notch. And I'm happy, if you have specific questions about it and stuff, just, make a deposit and schedule a call with me and stuff, and we can totally get into like the specific details of it. But I don't think you have anything to worry about. I think you'll be really impressed by the level of quality. So anyway, so the PBN is included with the site. And what I would recommend is there's a $50 a month expense included in the like expense report for PBN hosting. And what I would recommend is you keep the PBNs hosted in my hosting system, so you don't move them all. And you just pay me the $50 a month for the hosting. We'll transfer all the domains to your accounts and stuff. So you have like total control of it. If you ever do need to move them, it's as easy as just going in and changing those name servers and stuff. But I think that that's like the easiest way to do the PBN transfer. And it's probably the most safe because if we just do those domain transfers, Google's not going to be able to see any changes. There's going to be no public changes. But if we move all the hosting to new hosting accounts, then it's like all of a sudden all the hosts are changing on this PBN. And I think that that could be an issue. I mean, it probably wouldn't be, but I think if I were the buyer, that's what I would do, is just keep it how it is. But, with that said, like, it's your PBN. You're welcome to do whatever you want with it. If you want to change the hosting, if you want to change anything about the individual PBNs, it would all be yours. If you want to add, links to your other sites on it, I wouldn't necessarily recommend that, but you'd be like totally welcome to do that too. So that's part of what you're actually getting with this business is the PBN itself, which I think that's a good, cool selling point of the business.
With a lot of the other sites that you and I have had conversations about, the PBN has not been included in the sale. Instead, it will be continued to be hosted by your team. So I guess my question is, why are you doing it differently with this business?
Yeah, it's a good question. So there's kind of two answers. One is that this is one of the few businesses that I can do the entire PBN because most of my sites have at least some PBNs that are shared with other sites that I own. So I couldn't, offer the buyer to have the entire PBN for themselves. This particular site was one where we just kept the PBN completely unique in order to maybe have this kind of opportunity to do this and to just have I wanted to experiment with different things on different sites. So that's a lot of it. It's one of the few sites that I actually can do that kind of thing for it. And then the other thing is that the way it worked out with the multiple that Empire Flippers was giving, I could get a higher multiple with doing it this way. So essentially the value of the PBN is actually priced into the sale. Whereas, with some of the other sites, not necessarily. So yeah, I think that probably answers the question why it makes sense. I mean, with some of the sites, there's a much higher fee because that's the way I think that it makes the most sense to structure it is, we have a little bit lower sales price because the actual net profit is going to be less. So the sales price therefore is going to be less, but then there's a monthly fee priced into it as well. And with this one, we're pretty much not doing that, only with that $50 a month hosting fee. But of course, you don't have to pay that to me. You can do that on your own if you want to. You can go host it however you want to. So that's kind of how it worked out to do it with this site.
Is there anything that happened while building the site that didn't go well, or looking to the future, are there any risks that are associated with the business that a buyer should be aware of?
Yeah, good question. Honestly, the site went really smoothly. I mean, since 2015, it's just been taking longer to rank sites. After I've built them, it's just taking longer and longer. Now I have some sites that have been almost a year and they're not ranking, and that's kind of frustrating. And this site this didn't take a year, I don't think, to start ranking at all. But this site did take longer than I had been hoping that it would take. So that was kind of something that went a little bit not according to plan. But that's become really standard now. It's just that the amount of time that you have to wait for something to rank has just been getting longer, Yeah, I mean, in terms of risks going forward, I mean, I think the two risks that I see are I would think they're kind of the obvious risks for this type of business is probably for most online businesses. But, this business is very reliant on Amazon and it's very reliant on Google. So, on the Amazon front, they could change the amount of commission that they're paying. They did change the amount of commission that they were paying back in the spring. And, my guess is that they've been investing a lot in the associates program and in the interface and stuff. My guess is that they're not going to, shut it down, but they could, they're a customer essentially, right? They could go somewhere else, or they could just decide we're not going to do Amazon Associates anymore or something. I mean, that's within their, operating agreement and stuff. So, risks exist on that end. Now, one thing that you do have on a site like this is there are other places that somebody could buy this product from online. So you would have some options of getting into a different affiliate program or something. But my guess is, Amazon is just such a powerhouse at converting people and whatnot they're really good at selling these items. Like, I think that you'd probably make a little bit less money with another affiliate program. And this is part of why I've gone with Amazon, is because they're really, good at, and they have relatively high commissions and stuff. So I think that's a risk. And then, of course, on the Google end of things, even for somebody who's like a completely a white hat site and doesn't do any like PBN or doesn't even do any like buying links or anything, Google can just change their algorithm, and maybe just by the luck of the draw, you go up a few spots or down a few spots or something. And I mean, it's a risk/reward both ways. Like, Google could, and I've seen this happen, Google could change their algorithm and you could rank better without doing anything. That's happened to me before, and it's awesome when it happens. But the same can happen on the other way, without even getting any kind of a penalty or anything like that. You can just, Google can change their algorithm and you rank a few spots worse, which, that's of course a risk. You're, bouncing around in the search engines even without changing anything can happen. So I think like those to me are like the biggest risks I see going forward with this business. I mean, I think it's with any of these kinds of sites, it's a bit of, higher risk, higher reward kind of game we're playing here. And those risks are definitely higher than you'll see in some types of businesses. But, it's also priced at a relatively low multiple compared to some of the other businesses selling on here. So it's kind of a higher reward in that sense as well.
I mean, and those are also, like you said, risks that are present in, any business like this, and, maybe even any online business in general. And so it's not anything that is going to be a specific risk to this particular business, right? Like, that's what you think?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on what you're comparing it to, I guess. I mean, this business is, heavily reliant on Google for traffic, maybe more so than some other businesses that might be on the marketplace right now. And it's heavily reliant on Amazon. It doesn't have multiple streams of income or something like that. So, it might be a little bit more in that sense, but it really depends on what you're comparing it to. I mean, if you're comparing it to most other Amazon affiliate sites, then it's probably like right on par, in the risk department. And actually, if you're comparing it to other sites with PBNs, depending on what they're doing with their PBN, I would guess that this PBN setup, and with you owning it and all that stuff, it's like one of the least risky PBN propositions. But of course, again, like, anytime that you're in a space where you're doing something that, Google doesn't like, that's another area where they can switch up their algorithm, and, the particular PBN stuff that we're doing is like a little bit devalued or something. So, yeah, so I think, I mean, some of this is present in this, more specifically in this business or this exact type of business. And a lot of it is really just like risks of online businesses in general,
Yeah, when I said that, I was mainly comparing it to other Amazon associate sites.
Yeah, sure.
And
sure.
In that case, there's nothing like, oh, this product is going to be something that's only going to be relevant for the next 6 months. Like, it's nothing specific to this business, I guess is what I'm saying.
No. Yeah, in that case, nothing real specific to this business. I mean, this is a product, I would guess, I mean, you never really know about like long-term trends, but I would guess that this is a product that is going to become more and more popular over the course of the next few years, just because, I mean, I guess I can't really talk about exactly why I think that is, because it kind of reveals too much, but I think the depositor will agree. It's like, it's something that's kind of been up and coming for a while, and I think the trend will continue for a number of reasons.
And I mean, if you look on the listing site, it says that the site reviews and provides recommendations for a common household appliance. So, I mean, it's people have households, people have appliances. And if it's something, like you said, that is up and coming in these areas, that it's not going to be something that's going to just drop off. But Josh, anyway, we are 3 minutes away from your time cap. So, but I do have a couple more questions I need to get through.
Yeah, that's fine. Let's just do it real quick.
Yeah. Let's get into it. So would you commit to a non-compete?
Yeah, absolutely. No problem.
How much support are you willing to offer buyers in the transition?
I'm pretty open. I mean, I'm happy to, off the cuff, I would say like 1 to 2 Skype calls, just kind of depending on like what we need, like definitely 1 to get through any questions that the buyer's going to have. And then if the buyer wants to do like a follow-up call, I think that would make sense. And, I want it to be a successful experience for the buyer. I mean, my whole business model is about, continuing to sell these sites with Empire Flipper. So it looks good for me when buyers have a really successful experience with buying my sites and being able to like make the money back quickly and, profit from it.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
So, I want it to be as successful as it can be for the buyer. So in any way that I can help with that, I'm happy to. So yeah, 1 or 2 Skype calls, I think makes a lot of sense. I'm happy to do that. And, email support. I mean, This isn't really common because most of the time, like buyers are kind of like they do their thing and they have a vision for the business and they kind of take it with them. But, I've had buyers email me like a year later or 2 years later and be like, hey, like here's a little update, or I have a little question about what you think might be the best strategy based on, what you're doing now or something. And I always answer that kind of stuff. I'm happy to hear from people. So definitely, 30 days or whatever, email support for sure. But like, it's something like you can expect, I'm in sort of a long-term view of this business. So you can expect to like be able to kind of be in contact with me when you need to.
Obviously, what we want is that someone comes in and gives you a 100% cash offer of what you're looking for. But if that didn't happen, would you be open to negotiations and conversations about other payment methods, like, for instance, an earnout?
Yeah, I'm open to some kind of like an earnout situation, especially if this is like a little bit higher price business. So yeah, I'd definitely be open to something like that. The way I see it, like this is kind of a growing business. So I'm not like, maybe compared to some other sellers or something, I'm not really like needing to sell it really quickly. So I don't necessarily need to settle for a really low offer or anything like that. But in terms of more like an earnout kind of situation or some kind of a deal structure where like some is paid now, some is paid, 30 days after or something like that, I'm definitely open to those kinds of arrangements if a buyer wants to make that kind of offer.
Mm-hmm. I have one last question. Before we get to that, I'm going to run through the quick summary of the business again. It was built in December of 2015, has a monthly revenue of $7,479, expenses of $55, net profit of $7,424, which is built on a 6-month average. Included in the sale of this business are the domain, site files, a privately owned PBN with links exclusive to this business, and social media accounts for Google+, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, About.me, LinkedIn, and Pinterest. Josh, before we go here, what is your best 30-second pitch on why someone should purchase this business?
Yeah, I think it's a healthy business and the business itself is growing. The niche, I think, has a lot of potential to grow. There's like a lot of opportunities for somebody who can, leverage maybe like the content and SEO side of things or the email marketing or the social media side of things. I think that there's some huge opportunities there. And, because of the success of this niche and how much, Google kind of likes this site, you have a lot of leverage for like, something that you do has the potential to have quite a big payoff. So I think that there's a lot of opportunities with this business, and it's a pretty, healthy business. If somebody wanted to just buy it and sit on it and just earn the passive income from it, it's pretty much as low maintenance as it gets. So I think whether you want to, just dig into it and really leverage what is there, or you want to sit on it and just earn from it, I think that there's a big opportunity. Really, either way, it's a really good opportunity.
Yeah, it certainly sounds like it's a business with a lot of potential for growth. And like you said, it's going to take very, very little time and effort to maintain it. And that's not even if you want to grow it with the ample opportunity that we've outlined. So Josh, thank you for taking the time again here today. And it was a real pleasure chatting with you again.
Okay, thank you so much. Take care.
If you're watching this on YouTube and want more information, the link will be below the video that will take you to this marketplace listing. If you're watching this on the listing site and want more information, become a depositor today. All you have to do is click the button, make a refundable deposit, and you'll be given everything you need to review this business. Have a great day.